Okay, so I was really hyped for this movie. I read the book. I really loved the book. I read it like 2 years prior to even the director being announced, who was Steven Spielberg, and the actors being announced too. But the movie came out in 2018. I was just so much anticipation for it for me, and I got clickbaited. It didn't really live up to the expectations that I would like the movie to have lived up to. So the actual plot of the movie, it's set in 2045. It's an apocalypse era sort of thing, which of course it is. It's 2045. And it's about the Oasis, which is like a virtual reality sort of lifestyle that you're supposed to go into. It's basically everyone spends their time in it instead of the real world, because the real world kind of sucks. So everyone just goes there, tries to forget about their real life in that. So the creator of the Oasis, who was James Holliday, he dies and he leaves behind an Easter egg somewhere in the Oasis. And there's 3 keys to get it, which are the copper key, the jade key, and the crystal key. And you need to find the 3 keys to get the egg. And when you do get the egg, you get the entire damn Oasis. And probably a crap load of money too, I would imagine. So, Wade Watts, who lives in the Stacks, which are basically a stack of RVs in Columbia, Ohio, his life kind of sucks, like everyone else's, but it really sucks for him. He lives with his aunt, and he doesn't really like his life, so he always just hides out in the Oasis. And he basically is one of the Gunters, who are egg hunters, and he every day he looks for the egg. And also, so does Artemis, who is another virtual character. She's a streamer, Twitch streamer, by the way, in real life. And then there's also his best friend H, and Dayato and Sho, who are the other 2 characters who don't really matter. But they're all looking for the egg, and so is IOI, which is like this evil corporation sort of thing. And it's got to find the egg first. So the best part of this movie are the visuals. They're really colourful. They're really amazing. They're really dynamic, and they do all the world building too. So the visuals are just really great. The best part of the scene comes to the visuals, which is the car race at the start. It's one of the puzzles to get one of the keys. And puzzles are pretty bad, but this scene is really good. The camera angles are like amazing. The camera's always moving, so it's like so dynamic, and there's so much color, and there's just cars running into each other, and there's dinosaurs and like Godzilla. And who doesn't want to see Godzilla? Not Godzilla, King Kong. Like I always get them mixed up. Who doesn't want to see King Kong destroy the DeLorean? And this movie's packed with pop culture references, by the way. And they kind of carried most of the advertising, but it's a really great scene, really epic, best scene in the entire movie. Well, great way to basically introduce us to the puzzles in this movie. But onto the puzzles. The problem with the movie is it didn't really capture the spirit of the book. It has a ton of pop culture references, but they're just there to be like, hey, I know that thing. That's Tracer, but I'm already Tracer. No, but basically they don't really incorporate the actual references into the actual story like the book did, which I did have a problem with. That didn't like they could have done something with that. They could have incorporated those in, but they're just too lazy to. It's just for advertising. But it didn't fit in everything in the book too, which I guess I can understand because it's a 300-page book and this is like a 2-hour movie. So, of course it can't fit everything in, but still, it just felt cramped, basically. It just felt too short. And that, for that reason, it could have been more character development, definitely, which this movie kind of lacked to a certain degree. But the puzzles were also lackluster, which is another issue with this movie, considering the puzzles are, like, meant to be the highlight of the movie, but they're really, really not. So, the characters are basically stupid in this movie. The puzzles are just easy. The first puzzle, which is connected to the race, is just so basic and simple that the characters are basically being told the answer throughout the beginning of the movie, and it's just really frustrating considering they're just treating the audience like a bunch of idiots. And the other two puzzles are also pretty lackluster. They weren't really that good either, but they were better than the first one, I guess, but only by a little bit. So the puzzles should have been the highlight, like the main part of this book, but they really weren't, which is a bit of an issue. Now the characters, there's Wade and Samantha, who are the real world versions of Artemis and Parzival. And Parzival is Wade and Artemis is Samantha. I just swapped them around accidentally. And then there's H and Dodo and Show, like I mentioned. Wade's arc in this movie is okay. It works for me quite well, actually. It's about him basically living his entire life in the Oasis, and he just doesn't want to come out. He doesn't like the real world when he really should spend more time in the real world, because living just in a virtual simulation isn't really a life. So he needs to live life to the fullest, essentially, and needs to get off that damn phone of his. It's not a phone. It's a virtual reality. But get off that phone. It makes you tickle. And then there's Samantha, who is basically the love interest in this book, but she's her own character too, which is good. So she's a Twitch streamer, by the way, and she basically is another gunter, and she's a really hardcore gunner. She just desperately is looking for this because her father was basically died because of IOI, which is the evil corporation. And her arc, basically, in theory, it's fine. It'll work quite well in theory, but then they just didn't execute it really well at all. Because her arc is her hiding behind the screen, not showing her real self. Her quite ugly self is what it's meant to be like. Because she has a birthmark on her face, essentially, and she looks like she got punched in the face really hard. But that's basically her arc. Just accepting that you've got to accept yourself, and you've got to come out and basically show the world who you are, and show Wade who she is, because she thinks he's going to be disappointed in her, in what she looks like. But then the issue with the arc of her being ugly and her coming out and just showing the world that is that she's not ugly is the issue. She's a model, actress sort of person who has a mild birthmark makeup on her face. And why can't you just cast someone a little bit ugly for this? You don't always need to cast a superstar as your main character, okay? You can cast someone a little bit ugly. And they also do this with Wade. Wade is fat in the book, but I'm fine with that, considering I don't really want to see a giant, bald, fat guy lobbing around, which is what he is in the book. But no offense to the bald fat guy video gamers, which I know there are a lot of, But so her arc didn't really work because she's not ugly. So yeah, just not good execution. Wade and Samantha, they have a relationship in this movie, which doesn't really work just because of the chemistry. Once again, it could work in theory, but the chemistry just doesn't work. Now, that's because Ty Sheridan, I think is how you pronounce it, probably not. And then Olivia Cook. So Ty plays Wade and Olivia plays Samantha. And so their chemistry just wasn't the best. Olivia did a great job as Samantha, and Ty did a good job as Wade, especially as the voice of Wade. Because Wade voices over narrates most of the beginning of the film, and Ty's voice really is quite nice to listen to for that. It's not a really annoying squeaky voice or anything. But then their chemistry just felt really awkward when it's around Samantha, and Olivia did a good job. Olivia does a great job with Samantha, but it just didn't work with Ty being there essentially. So it's Ty's fault is what I'm trying to say. And Olivia did a good job, but it just didn't work. Now the other three characters are H, Dayoto, and Sho, and they don't really get much development. So H is Parzival's best friend. Dayoto and Sho are two ninja brother friends. I don't know, something like that. And H is played by Lena White, I think is how you say it. And Lena does a great job in this movie, brings a lot of energy to the character, really gives presence to the character, and a lot of humour to it too. So basically, H's character is that he's like a boy. He's like an alien boy thingy, and this genderless alien, and then in real world he's like a girl. So she's a girl. I don't know how to say that, but they don't really do anything with that. Is the issue, and they could have really done something with that, but they didn't because it's just too short. And Daiso isn't really very memorable. He was a lot better in the book. The book's better. I'm just going to say it's like the entire damn movie, the entire damn review. He's played by Win Morasaki, and his performance wasn't really like memorable. Is the issue. So yeah, not really that great. And Sho is an 11-year-old in real life, so child actor. Not really the greatest. Child actors, obviously, not really that great usually. But he's played by Philip Zaheo, I think, and doesn't really do well for me. I don't really like his performance. It just feels like a child just trying to act. It just didn't really feel natural, like, at all. So not really a great performance by him, but you know. Now the villain, IOI is like the big villain corporation, and they're led by Nolan Sorrento, who I can barely remember his name. It's like my third take, and I kept on forgetting his name. But Nolan Sorrento is a completely forgettable like villain. He's just like a cliche white old business guy sort of person with no character whatsoever. He's played by Ben Mendelsohn, and his performance wasn't really enough to redeem the character. It was a good performance, but it just wasn't enough to redeem the character for me. But the other villain, technically a villain, was IROC, and he's played by T.J. Miller, who was always great. He has a lot of great voice work, and obviously he's great in this movie. Brings a lot of humour and fun to the character. He's just really fun to watch. And now for like the final fight is obviously going to be the big battle of the movie. A bunch of CGI like punch fest, basically that sort of thing. I usually don't like CGI punch fest final battles, but in this it works because there's actually like some light in the film. But also, there's a lot of colour and there's a lot of variety, considering it's like all these different characters from pop culture beating each other up. Like, who doesn't want to see the Iron Giant beat the crap out of a Mecha Godzilla? Or Tracer fighting Halo people, I guess. It was more like them versus the IOI, but yeah, there's Tracer. There's a lot of Tracer actually in this movie, surprisingly. And there's also Halo, and there's obviously Iron Giant, as I said. There's like a lot of ninja stuff. There's like reference to like there's probably Dark Souls and their stuff. There's probably a bunch of Nintendo references. There's probably a bunch of stuff I missed. But the final fight is just quite enjoyable to watch then, considering it's just punch. But it goes on for a little bit too long with all the punching. Maybe that's just because the room was really hot and I was getting sick to death of it by then. But final fight is okay. Now then, I guess that's it. The movie was fine. Once again, I got clickbaited. It wasn't as good as I would have liked it to be. The book's better, basically. I would recommend you read. No, you probably don't like reading books, don't you? But it's really long. I liked it, so yeah. I didn't like the movie. I liked the book. But the movie, the actual final score for it would be 7 out of 10, I'd say. Because it was okay, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. It just felt really, really average is the issue. Just blended in right into the rest of the movies of time and of like pop culture itself. So it just, average is like the worst a movie can be. But its average just makes it bad. But 7 out of 10. So yeah, that's it, I guess. And thank you for watching.